What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls commentary. Alright, guys, I've been kind of sitting back and checking things out, both from my uploads and a lot of the videos that are out there in the YouTube world. And I have reached the conclusion that the Pyromancer is perhaps the most dangerous build out there. And this is why I say that. Now, granted, the mage have some very powerful castings. Right? You have the Crystal Soul Spear, the Soul Spear, and the Homing Crystal Soul Mass. I think that's what it's called. But all of those can easily be dodged. Right? And any honest person, not a person trying to prove a point, but any honest person will attest to the fact that it is very difficult, right, with regard to pure sorcery castings, to hit every single time, or at least half the time. It's very difficult, right? So although those sorceries are powerful, you have a high likeliness to miss. Now, let's look at the Faith build. Basically, the Faith build, as far as offensive strategies are concerned, the only thing that they have is the Wrath of the Gods and the buffs. But see, we're not talking about buffs. We're talking about castings. And that's all that I can think of right now. I mean, you have the little Grave Lord Servant, right? But that's, even though it's a miracle, it's more like one of those covenant type of deals. But when you look at the Pyromancer, right, you have Great Combustion, you have the Fireballs, you have the Fire Surge, and the Fire Whips, all of which can be used in a myriad of combinations to be very effective and hit at a very high rate. And not only will they hit it at a very high rate and are they effective, but they are extremely strong. Right? So this is why I am under the impression that the Pyromancer is probably the most dangerous build out there. And in addition to this realization, right, and watching various videos, I mean, you got Sans's videos out there. You have a couple other guys that are very good at pyromancy casting. My goal is to become one of the best casters out there. Right? So this is why this particular series is going to be called trying to go from man to Superman. Right? And this is why I say that. At this particular point, I'm really not good at casting. Right? So right now, I mean, with regard to pyromancy is concerned, I'm just a regular player. Right? I'm pretty much what they would call a novice. Right? With regard to castings and being a pyromancer. But since there's a lot of guys out there who are very good at casting and have been a motivation to me, this is why I say I want to strive to go from man to Superman, right, with regard to being a good pyromancer. So, not only in this particular series, will you see me doing a lot of pyromancer PvP, but also in my off time, well, personal time rather, and a lot of, well, I can't say a lot, and in some of the future videos, this is what I plan to do. Right? Because lately, that's all I've been doing. As a matter of fact, after sitting back and kind of checking out that video with me against Triple, I mean, that guy really motivated me. And not just that particular series of matches, but also, as I said before, a lot of those other videos that are out there that features good pyromancer builds. Because as a matter of fact, I kind of experimented the other day trying to use a Faith Pyromancer, and actually I got my behind handed to me. Right? And that was because I realized to myself that I was trying to do too much at once. Right? In other words, before you can start handling combinations, it's probably good for you to first master one of the classes of castings. Right? So even though, I had kind of Wrath of the Gods in there, and I mean, I'm really not good with casting pyromancies. So I think before I kind of mix in my Faith Pyromancer, I think I need to first concentrate on the regular, fireball casts and some of these other castings that can be very effective once you're good at your aiming and your cast strategies. Alright, so as you guys can see, we're in the Demon Ruins. I like to do a lot of PvP here, especially somewhere around level 75 to 100. Right, but this is my level 125 character. And actually, this particular night, I think it was pretty lucky for me because I was getting some pretty frequent invasions. Right, which is a good thing because in a lot of cases, you don't really see that at some of the higher levels, at least not in my experiences. I know some of you guys will say, "Hey, I get invasions all the time." Well, everything is relative, right? And in my personal experience, I really do not get that many invasions, right? Outside of the Undead Burg or the Kiln or even Dark Root. I'm talking about places like Demon Ruins, the Depths, another location that I love to invade, and a couple other places. Right, even Blighttown. I love kind of invading Blighttown, especially when you're between levels, 60 and 75-ish, sometimes 100, depending upon what times of the day it is. So yeah, and I'm pretty much digging the Pyromancer. Now, I had a Pyromancer build in the past, but after I created a build, I never really did anything with it. If you guys are kind of familiar with the channel, you will know that in most cases, I am just using, I'm not really using, castings. I'm not really using pyromancy. I have that one battle caster, but do I use it a lot? No. I used it a lot when I was putting that series together. But after a few days of doing that, I kind of left that character there, even though I still have it on file. Right. But this is going to be the new character that I intend to focus on, because I am really digging the Pyromancer. Right now, I've heard a rumor out there that there are supposed to be some type of fire sorceries. Right now, have I read anything saying speaking of this? No. But I guess there are some type of rumors out there saying that there are going to be some type of fire sorceries or whatnot. I'll just put it this way: I believe it when I see it. Right, but up to this point, this is going to be the build that I'm going to concentrate on, because I think it's really awesome, especially when you're good at putting those combinations together. Now, what exactly do I mean by combinations together? I think in order to be really good at casting, you really need to first figure out what order you would like to cast. Right? What's going to be your objective? Are you going to concentrate on ganking or 1v1? Right? Because if you're going to be somewhere like the Kiln or the Forest, you may need to prioritize your pyromancy in a different order than what you would do in a 1v1 situation. Right? Now, some people may say, well, it really doesn't matter. Well, it kind of does matter depending upon your tactics, based upon my experiences at least. So I don't know, I'm going to do a whole bunch of experimenting. And I think in order for you to get good at something, you're going to need to do a lot of experimenting, which will include a whole bunch of losing. Right? Which, I kind of been doing a lot of losing. Because what my goal is to not only be good with the castings, but be good with the castings with no shield, right? Or use the shield as little as possible. So in other words, I'll have my pyromancy glove in one hand and just a weapon in the other, which, will require me to get good at dodging, right? And knowing when to cast and when to evade, because in the past I really relied heavily on my shield. But since I really want to get good with the Pyromancer, I kind of want to put the shield down. Now, I'm not saying it will always be down, but I'm saying with regard to me trying to get good at pyromancy casting, I want to kind of not depend on the shield as much, right? And I really want to get good with, you know, when to evade, when not to evade, when to cast, when not to cast, and judging the distance. Well, excuse me, judging the distance when doing the castings, or even weapon attacks. Alright guys, so this is pretty much the end of this short video. So you guys can just go ahead and stay tuned for next time. Martyr's Brigade is